Today we're going to be focusing on task 19, severity 6 on the OWASP top 10, and this is part of the OWASP top 10 series. We're going to take a look at security misconfigurations here. We'll have to go ahead and stop the machine and see when the next machine, I'll see when this is done here. So we'll go ahead and start the machine for security misconfigurations. Alright, let's take a look at task 19 here, severity number 6 on the OWASP top 10 series, part of the OWASP top 10 series we're doing. Alright, this is going to be security misconfigurations. I believe the box is long, so we'll copy the IP 10.10.133.253. Let's read a little bit here. Security misconfigurations. Security misconfigurations are distinct from the other top 10 vulnerabilities because they occur when security could have been configured properly but was not. Again, you need a security engineer who knows what they're doing so they can look after developers and implement secure controls. Security misconfigurations include poorly configured permissions on cloud services like S3 buckets. Now, there is an increasingly amount of organizations, enterprises, companies, whatever you want to call it, using either Amazon cloud services and or Azure cloud services. This is highly important to make sure that these are configured correctly by somebody who's done this before. Number 2, having unnecessary features enabled like services, pages, accounts, or privileges. It's important to make sure that least privilege is something that is written in SOPs in order to stop this kind of thing from happening. That would also include having default accounts with unchanged passwords, error messages that are overly detailed and allow an attacker to find out more about the system, and not using HTTP security headers or revealing too much detail in the server of an HTTP header. This vulnerability can often lead to more vulnerabilities such as default credentials. Okay, they fucking terminated the box. Hold on. I think we're good here, actually. I should be good here. Okay. This vulnerability can often lead to more vulnerabilities such as default credentials giving you access to sensitive data, XXE, or command injection on admin pages. For more info, I recommend having a look at the OWASP top 10 entry for security misconfiguration. They have a link here. We can open it. And here it is. This is why it's important to continuously patch your services. Okay, we have threat agents and or attack vectors. Attackers will often attempt to exploit unpatched flaws or access default accounts, unused pages, unprotected files and directories, and etc. to gain unauthorized access or knowledge of the system. Security weakness, security misconfiguration can happen at any level of an application stack, including the network, services, platform, web server, application server, databases, frameworks, custom code, pre-installed VMs, containers, or storage, and this is bringing us back to cloud services at this point. Automated scanners are useful for detecting misconfigurations, use of default accounts, configurations, la-di-da. Now, I've already explained the impacts, but such flaws frequently give attackers unauthorized access to some system data or functionality. Occasionally, these flaws can result in a complete system compromise. Business impact depends on the protection needs of the application and of the data if the business wants to continue operating and making money. Now, let's go on. Default passwords. Specifically, this VM focusing on default passwords. These are specific examples of security misconfiguration. You could and should change any default passwords. People often don't, for whatever reason you would like to implement there. It's particularly common in an embedded and Internet of Things devices, and much of the time the owners don't change these passwords. This could include you going somewhere and the Wi-Fi not being secure. Okay, this is a problem. Take that information, do what you will with that information. It's easy to imagine the risk of default credentials. Easy to. It's easy to imagine the risk of default credentials from an attacker's point of view. Being able to gain access to admin dashboard services designed for system admins or manufacturers, or even network infrastructure, could be incredibly useful in attacking a business. From data exposure to easy RCEs, the effects of default credentials can be severe. Now, they're going to provide an example. In October 2016, a DNS provider, was taken offline by one of the most memorable DDoS attacks in the past 10 years. The flood of traffic came mostly from IoT, or Internet of Things, and networking devices like routers, modems were infected by the Mirai malware. How did malware take over the systems? Default passwords. So basically they had people hired that probably shouldn't have been hired, working at a company they probably shouldn't have been working at, and therefore weren't even looking after these things. Well, how did the malware take over the systems? Default credentials. The malware had a list of 63 usernames and password pairs in an attempt to log in to expose telnet services. Now, if you had a cybersecurity engineer that was checking these things and implementing system controls that either when you're onboarding a user or a new employee, or for your existing employees, you need to have practices in place that are going to have them change these passwords every X amount of days. Could be 30, 60, 90, but the point is these things need to be changed frequently, and or you need to implement controls or password services that are complex, even slightly. Now, I understand that some employees and users have trouble remembering their passwords or typing in things that are somewhat complicated, but hopefully you have an engineer or a security team that's able to communicate effectively with these people and teach them what best practice is, and if they have an issue typing these things in, they need extra time to learn how to do so. Simply not allowing them to do so is not acceptable. The DDoS attack was notable because it took many large websites and services offline, including Amazon, Twitter, Netflix, GitHub, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, and many more services. And this lasted for several hours and 3 waves of DDoS attacks on DYN. It's a good time to point out that these kinds of attacks can severely damage the reputation of a company. Now, if you don't want your reputation severely damaged amongst your clients and vendors, again, you need to make sure that these things are being put in place. Let's take a look at the practical example. This VM showcases security misconfiguration as part of the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities list. Deploy the VM and hack in by exploiting security misconfigurations. We've already deployed the VM. Now find the flag with default credentials. So 10.10.133.253, 10.10.153.253 here, 133. Pensive Notes, a note-taking app for people who like to think about their notes. Now we've got swap themes and the ability to change password here. Now if we just try, like, I don't know, admin, we're not in, right? If we try admin, there's a list of this, but it's fine. Admin root, nothing. If we go here, change password, and type in admin, we're going to be asked a current password here, right? Okay, well, that's not the answer. What we're going to do here is go to Google and we can say top frequently used credentials default. You try admin. Let's go ahead and try root. We also tried admin root. Okay, root doesn't work. Maybe it's pensive. Admin pensive. I don't know. Okay. Root pensive. Now we could probably crack this, but that's beyond the scope of the lab. So username is equal to username, password is equal to password. Okay, so tried all default creds with users, so maybe we can try pensive and then pensive notes. No, pensive notes. Alright, so doing capital P and then capital N, so pensive notes, actually did log us in. However, we've been disconnected, so let's relaunch the lab here, or the VM, and do it again. So capital P, pensive, and notes. Log in. Your notes. Default credentials are security risk. Blah, blah, blah. And we have the flag here. So we're in. Copy that. We'll go paste the answer here. And that is security misconfiguration complete. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and comment for more. And see you in the next lesson. Thank you.